The rain fell hard on Seoul that night. Kang Do-hyun walked through the empty streets with his hands in his pockets. He was 28 years old, tired, and almost broke. His small repair shop barely made enough money to pay rent. But tonight, he had received a strange message on his phone. An anonymous tip about a black market auction in the old warehouse district. Do-hyun knew he should not go. Black market auctions were dangerous. Aliens and criminals gathered there to trade illegal goods. But something pulled him forward. A feeling he could not explain. The warehouse was dark and smelled of rust and oil. About 50 beings stood inside, some human, some alien. Do-hyun recognized a few species from the news. The tall, four-armed Keth with their gray skin. The small, insect-like Vryn who clicked when they talked. Earth had been trading with aliens for 12 years now, but their technology remained expensive and controlled. Normal people like Do-hyun could never afford it. The auctioneer, a fat human man with gold teeth, stood on a platform. He sold strange items one by one. Alien plants that glowed in the dark. Broken pieces of spacecraft. Medical devices that nobody understood. The prices went high, and Do-hyun just watched. Then the auctioneer pointed to something in the corner. It was covered in dust and damage. A vehicle of some kind, shaped like a motorcycle but different. Its body curved in ways that seemed almost alive. Even under all the dirt, Do-hyun could see faint light pulsing beneath its surface. Next item, the auctioneer said with a bored voice. Unidentified wreckage. Origin unknown. Does not power on. Starting bid, 100,000 won. Nobody moved. Do-hyun looked around. The aliens in the room were not looking at the vehicle. They were looking away. Some of them seemed nervous. Even scared. Why would aliens be scared of broken wreckage? Do-hyun raised his hand before his brain could stop him. 2.3 million won. The room went silent. The auctioneer stared at him. All of it? At once? Do-hyun nodded. That was everything he had saved. Everything in his bank account. His sister Yuna would kill him when she found out. Sold, the auctioneer said quickly, as if he wanted to get rid of it. Take it and go. Getting the vehicle home was not easy. It was heavier than it looked, and Do-hyun had to use his old truck to carry it. He brought it to his shop and closed the doors. Then he spent 3 hours cleaning it. Under the dust, the machine was beautiful. Its body was dark blue, almost black, with lines of silver running through it like veins. The seat was made of something soft that felt like leather but was not. There were no buttons, no screens, no controls that Do-hyun could recognize. He touched the handlebar. Light exploded around him. Do-hyun fell backward, his heart pounding. The motorcycle was glowing now, bright and alive. Blue light ran through every line on its body. A holographic display appeared in the air above it, showing symbols he had never seen before. Then the symbols began to change. Slowly, they shifted into Korean letters. Neural link established, a voice said inside his head. It was not sound. It was thought, pressed directly into his mind. Biometric signature recorded. Writer confirmed. Do-hyun could not breathe. What? What are you? The holographic display flickered. More text appeared. Unit designation, Wraith 7. Combat reconnaissance vehicle. Species of origin, Valahari. Current status, last operational unit. Do-hyun had never heard of the Valahari. He touched the display, and information flooded into his mind. Images, memories, history. The Valahari were warriors. Not conquerors, but protectors. For thousands of years, they had traveled the galaxy, fighting against those who would enslave and destroy. Their technology was advanced beyond anything Do-hyun could imagine. And 400 years ago, they had been completely wiped out. Every planet, every colony, every ship, destroyed. Their technology was thought to be lost forever. Yet here it was, in a small repair shop in Seoul, bonded to a human mechanic who could barely afford rice. "Why me?" Do-hyun whispered. The motorcycle sent him another feeling. Not words, but emotion. It had been waiting, sleeping. For 400 years, it had drifted through space, dead and forgotten. When Do-hyun touched it, something inside him had woken it up. The Velahari built their machines to find worthy riders. And somehow, against all logic, Wraith 7 had found one in him. Do-hyun sat on the floor of his shop for a long time. His hands were shaking. He was just a mechanic. He fixed old cars and broken drones. He was nobody. But the motorcycle did not care about that. It showed him more memories. Velahari riders facing armies alone, flying through asteroid fields, saving entire planets from destruction. Every rider had been ordinary once. The machine did not choose the powerful. It chose those with the heart to become powerful. "I cannot do this," Do-hyun said. The motorcycle pulsed with light. It did not argue. It simply waited. Far away, in a luxury hotel near the government district, a four-armed Keth named Councillor Tarvin dropped his drink. His communicator was beeping with an emergency signal. He picked it up with trembling hands and read the message. Velahari ghost signature detected. Location, Earth, Seoul metropolitan area. Tarvin felt cold fear wash through his body. This was impossible. They had destroyed everything. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of Velahari technology. The Keth High Command had made sure of it 400 years ago. They had burned worlds to keep this secret buried. He pressed a button on his communicator. "Get me a secure line to the homeworld. Priority maximum. What should I report?" his assistant asked. Tarvin looked out the window at the Seoul skyline. Somewhere out there, a ghost had awakened. A ghost that carried evidence of every crime his species had ever committed. "Tell them we have a problem," he said quietly. "And tell them to send hunters. The best we have." Back in his shop, Do-hyun finally stood up. He looked at Wraith 7. The motorcycle waited silently, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know that aliens were already coming for him. He did not know that his life was about to change forever. But as he placed his hand on Wraith 7's seat, he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. "Okay," he whispered to the machine. "Show me what you can do." The motorcycle hummed with energy, and for the first time in 400 years, Wraith 7 prepared to ride again. 2 weeks passed since Do-hyun bought the motorcycle. Every night, after closing his shop, he drove to an abandoned factory outside the city. There, hidden from the world, he learned to ride WRATH-7. It was nothing like riding a normal motorcycle. The first time he sat on it, the machine connected to his mind. He could feel its thoughts, its memories, its pain. Wraith 7 had lost every rider it ever had. All of them died in battle, fighting enemies too strong to defeat. The motorcycle carried their memories like scars, but it also carried their skills. When Do-hyun gripped the handles, knowledge flowed into him. How to balance at impossible speeds. How to lean into turns that should break his body. How to feel the road like it was part of his skin. On the third night, he learned that Wraith 7 could become invisible. The motorcycle bent light around itself, turning completely transparent. Do-hyun laughed like a child when he saw his own hands disappear. On the fifth night, he learned about gravity control. Wraith 7 could ride on walls, on ceilings. It could even float for short moments, defying everything Do-hyun knew about physics. On the 8th night, the weapons came online. Plasma lances hidden in the front of the bike. a kinetic shield that could stop bullets. Do-hyun destroyed an old concrete wall by accident and spent an hour sitting in shock. But the most important thing he learned was this: Wraith 7 was alive. Not alive like a human or an animal, but aware. It had feelings. It had moods. When Do-hyun did well, the motorcycle hummed with warmth. When he made mistakes, it sent pulses of frustration into his mind. It was teaching him, testing him, judging whether he was worthy. One night, Wraith 7 showed him a memory. A Valahari rider, tall and elegant, with silver skin and 4 eyes. She stood before an army of thousands. She was alone. Her motorcycle, a machine just like Wraith 7, waited beside her. She did not run. She did not beg. She climbed onto her motorcycle and rode straight into the enemy. She died that day. But her sacrifice saved a planet full of innocent people. Is that what you want from me? Do-hyun asked the darkness. To die fighting? Wraith 7 sent him another feeling. Not death. Purpose. The Valahari did not seek death. They simply refused to let fear stop them from doing what was right. Do-hyun understood, but understanding and accepting were different things. His sister Yuna noticed that something was wrong. She was 19 years old, smart, and stubborn. She studied xenobiology at the university, learning about alien life forms. When Do-hyun started coming home late every night, she grew suspicious. One evening, she followed him. Yuna hid behind a broken machine in the abandoned factory. She watched her brother ride a motorcycle up a wall, spin in the air, and land perfectly on the ground. Blue light surrounded him like fire. He moved like something from a dream. She screamed. Do-hyun almost crashed. He stopped the motorcycle and ran to her, his face white with fear. Yuna, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? She pointed at Wraith 7 with a shaking hand. What is that? What is happening to you? He could not lie to her. She was the only family he had left. Their parents died 5 years ago in a car accident. Since then, Do-hyun had worked every day to support her education. She trusted him completely. So he told her everything. Yuna listened without speaking. Her eyes grew wider with each word. When he finished, she walked slowly to Wraith 7 and touched its surface. The motorcycle glowed gently under her fingers. The Valahari, she whispered. I have read about them. In old files at the university. They were considered a legend. A myth. They were real, Do-hyun said. And someone destroyed them. Yuna looked at her brother. She was scared, but she was also excited. This was the discovery of a lifetime. I will help you. I will research everything I can find about the Valahari. There must be more information hidden somewhere. Do-hyun wanted to tell her no. He wanted to keep her safe. But he knew that look in her eyes. She would do it anyway. 3 days later, the hunters came. Do-hyun was riding home from the factory when he felt Wraith 7 tense beneath him. A warning pulse shot through his mind. Danger. Close. He turned into an alley and stopped. 3 figures stepped out of the shadows. They were aliens. 2 of them were Keth, tall and gray with 4 arms each. The third was something Do-hyun had never seen before, a creature made of black metal and red light. Human, the lead Keth said. His name was Marek, though Do-hyun did not know that yet. You have something that does not belong to you. Give us the Valahari weapon, and you will live. Do-hyun's heart pounded. I do not know what you are talking about. Marek laughed. It was an ugly sound. Do not play games. We tracked the activation signal across half the galaxy. That motorcycle is worth more than your entire planet. Hand it over. Wraith 7 sent Do-hyun a single emotion. Fight. He did not have time to think. The other Keth raised a weapon, and Do-hyun moved on instinct. He twisted the handles, and Wraith 7 shot forward like a bullet. The plasma lance fired. The Keth flew backward and did not get up. The metal creature lunged at him. Do-hyun activated the kinetic shield just in time. The impact threw him sideways, but he stayed on the bike. He spun around and fired again. The creature exploded into pieces. Marek stood alone now. His eyes were wide with shock. No human should be able to fight like this. No human should be able to use Velahari technology at all. What are you? Marek demanded. Do-hyun did not answer. He raised the plasma lance and pointed it at Marek's chest, but he could not pull the trigger. These were the first beings he had ever killed. He could smell burning flesh. He could see the bodies on the ground. His hands were shaking so badly that the motorcycle had to steady him. Marek saw the hesitation. He ran, disappearing into the night. Do-hyun sat in the alley for a long time. Wraith 7 hummed softly, sending waves of comfort into his mind. It showed him another memory. A young Velahari rider, centuries ago. Sitting just like Do-hyun after his first battle, shaking, crying, questioning everything. The rider's teacher had told him something important. We do not fight because we love death. We fight because we love life. Every enemy we stop is a life we save. Remember that, and you will find peace. Do-hyun wiped his eyes. He was not at peace. Not yet. But he understood now why the Velahari chose their riders carefully. The battle had only begun. When he got home, Yuna was waiting. Her face was pale. I found something, she said. About the Velahari. About why they were destroyed. Tell me. She took a deep breath. It was the Keth, the same species you just fought. 400 years ago, they started a war against the Velahari. They killed everyone. Every man, woman, and child. They burned their worlds to ash. Do-hyun felt cold. Why? Because the Velahari knew the truth. The Keth built their empire on genocide. They destroyed dozens of species before the Velahari, and they kept it secret. Yuna looked at her brother with fear in her eyes. The Keth control the Galactic Trade Collective now. If they find out what Wraith 7 carries, they will kill everyone on Earth to keep it buried. The motorcycle pulsed beside Do-hyun. It had been carrying this truth for 400 years, waiting for someone to listen. Now, finally, someone would. Councillor Tarvin arrived in Seoul with cameras following him. He smiled for the news and shook hands with human politicians. He spoke about friendship between species and the bright future of trade. But behind his kind words, his mind was dark with plans. The Keth High Command had given him one order: find the Velahari weapon and destroy it. If humans got in the way, destroy them too. Tarvin set up his office in the government district. He told Earth's leaders that he was investigating illegal technology trafficking. The humans believed him. They were so eager to please their alien trading partners, so desperate to be accepted into the galactic community. It made Tarvin sick. These creatures were insects. They had only been in space for a few decades. The Keth had ruled the stars for thousands of years, and they would rule for thousands more, as long as their secrets stayed buried. Marek reported to him that night. The hunter was wounded, his pride damaged. 3 of his team were dead. The human bonded with the weapon, Marek said. He can use it. I have never seen anything like it. Tarvin felt fear crawl up his spine. Velahari technology was supposed to reject other species. It was designed to bond only with Velahari riders. How could a primitive human activate it? Find him, Tarvin ordered. Find him and end this. While the hunters searched, Do-hyun went underground. He could not go back to his shop. He could not go back to his normal life. The aliens were looking for him, and they would not stop until he was dead. So he ran. An old friend helped him. Park Ji-woo was 34 years old, a former soldier who had served in the Korean Special Forces. When Earth first made contact with aliens, she had seen the truth. The aliens were not here to help humanity. They were here to use humanity, to take resources, cheap labor, and anything else they wanted. Jiwoo had quit the military and started a resistance cell. They worked in the shadows, exposing alien corporations that exploited human workers. They were small and poorly armed, but they never gave up. When Jiwoo saw Wraith 7, her eyes went wide. "Where did you get this?" she demanded. "I bought it at an auction," Dahyun said. Nobody knew what it was. Jiwoo laughed bitterly. Of course they did not. The aliens have been hiding real technology from us since day one. They sell us garbage and keep the powerful things for themselves. She reached out and touched the motorcycle. Unlike Yuna's gentle touch, Jiwoo's was hard and measuring. She was thinking of war. "Can you make more of these?" she asked. Do-yoon shook his head. "I do not know. I am still learning what it can do." Jiwoo looked at him with sharp eyes. "Then learn faster. Because if this thing can fight Keth hunters, it might be our only chance to survive what is coming." Meanwhile, Yuna continued her research. She used her university access to dig into classified databases. She spent long nights reading old files that had been locked away for years. Slowly, the truth became clear. The Velahari had not just been warriors. They had been witnesses. Their technology was designed to record everything. Every battle. Every crime. Every act of evil they encountered. Wraith 7 was not just a weapon. It was a library, a museum, a court of evidence. Inside its memory banks were recordings of the Keth's true history. Planets they had burned. Species they had erased. Billions of lives ended so the Keth could grow rich and powerful. If this evidence reached the galactic community, the Keth Empire would fall. Yuna sent a message to Do-yoon with shaking hands. "I understand now. I understand why they are so afraid of you." The resistance hideout was an old subway station deep beneath the city. 50 people lived there, all of them dedicated to fighting back against alien exploitation. They had small weapons, hacked computers, and not much hope. But when they saw Do-hyun ride Wraith 7 down the tunnel, something changed in their eyes. "Is that what I think it is?" an old man asked. "It is a Velahari combat vehicle," Jiwoo said. "And it belongs to us now." The word spread quickly. A human had bonded with legendary alien technology. A human could fight back against the Keth. Do-hyun did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and scared and completely out of his depth. But the people looking at him needed to believe in something. So he stood straight and tried to look confident. It did not last. Marek found them 3 days later. He brought 20 hunters this time, all of them armed with weapons that could melt through walls. They surrounded the subway station at midnight. "Give us the human and the weapon," Marek announced through a loudspeaker. "Or we will kill everyone inside." Jiwoo looked at Do-hyun. "Can you fight all of them?" "I do not know," he admitted. She grabbed his arm. "Then do not fight. Run. Draw them away. We will hold them off. They will kill you. Maybe." Jiwoo smiled grimly. "But if you survive, you can make them pay for it later." Do-hyun climbed onto Wraith 7. The motorcycle hummed with energy, ready for battle. But this time, he would not fight. He would run. He burst out of the subway station like lightning, plasma lance blazing. 3 hunters went down before they could react. The others turned to chase him, exactly as Jiwoo had planned. The chase that followed would become legend. Do-hyun rode through Seoul at impossible speeds. He phased through buildings, his body passing through solid walls like a ghost. He rode up the side of a skyscraper, the motorcycle's gravity controls keeping him locked to the surface. He jumped between rooftops, flew over highways, and disappeared into crowds. Wraith 7 pushed him further than ever before. Their neural link deepened with every second. Do-hyun stopped thinking and started feeling. The motorcycle became an extension of his body. Its senses became his senses. Its rage became his rage. The hunters could not keep up. They crashed into buildings, slammed into each other, and lost him in the maze of the city. By morning, Do-hyun was free. But Marek survived. He stood in the ruins of the chase, watching the sun rise over Seoul. "I will find you," he whispered. "I will destroy you. And I will burn this pathetic planet to nothing." Far away, on a Keth warship orbiting Earth's moon, Counselor Tarvin received bad news. The hunters had failed again. The human was still alive. The weapon was still active. He stared out the window at the blue planet below. Such a small world. So fragile. He pressed a button on his console. "Contact the High Command. Tell them I am authorizing Phase 2. Phase 2? His assistant asked nervously. "That means I know what it means." Tarvin's 4 hands clenched into fists. "If we cannot contain this quietly, we will contain it loudly. Redirect the nearest warship to Earth orbit. Tell them to prepare for planetary bombardment." The assistant went pale. "We would kill billions. Better billions of humans than the fall of our empire." Tarvin turned away from the window. "The Valahari are dead. Their last weapon will join them. And no one will ever know the truth about what we did." In the streets of Seoul, Do-hyun found a place to rest. He was exhausted. His body ached. But Wraith 7 was warm beneath him, pulsing with something that felt like pride. They had survived another night. But the war was just beginning. And somewhere above, the warship changed course toward Earth. The Keth warship entered Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. It was 3 kilometers long, covered in weapons, and blocked out the sun when it passed overhead. News channels around the world went crazy with fear. Counselor Tarvin appeared on television with his fake smile. "This ship is here for your protection," he said. "We have detected dangerous criminal elements on Earth. The Keth Trade Collective will help you deal with this threat." But the humans were not stupid. They could see the weapon ports on the ship. They could feel the threat hanging over their heads. Ji-woo contacted military leaders around the world. She sent them everything she had learned about the Keth, the genocide, the lies, the 400 years of hidden crimes. Some leaders did not believe her. Some thought she was crazy. But others listened. In Washington, a general watched the evidence with cold eyes. "If this is true, we have been trading with monsters." In Beijing, an admiral slammed his fist on the table. "They think we are insects. They think they can threaten us, and we will bow." In Moscow, a commander looked at the warship on his screen. "We cannot defeat that ship, but we can make them pay a price." Humanity was divided, scared, and unprepared. But something was changing. A feeling was spreading across the planet. The feeling of standing up after being knocked down. In the resistance hideout, Do-hyun worked with Ji-woo's engineers. Wraith 7 had shown him something incredible. The Valahari designed their technology to be shared. In their final days, knowing they would lose, they built in a function that could copy core systems to other machines. They wanted their legacy to continue, even after death. "Can we adapt this to human vehicles?" Ji-woo asked. Do-hyun touched Wraith 7's frame. "We cannot copy everything. The full systems are too complex. But we can copy parts. The neural link. Some of the gravity control. Maybe the shields." Yuna worked beside them, translating Valahari data files. "The riders need to be compatible. Not everyone can bond with the technology. It requires a certain type of mind." "What type?" Ji-woo asked. Do-hyun thought about everything Wraith 7 had shown him. People who are willing to fight for others. Not for glory or power. For protection. Jiwoo smiled grimly. I know a few people like that. They worked for 3 days without sleep. Human engineers, alien technology, and pure determination came together. The result was rough and ugly. Nothing like the beautiful Velahari machines. But it worked. They called them hybrid bikes. Human motorcycles enhanced with Velahari principles. Slower than Wraith 7. Less powerful. But deadly enough to matter. 12 riders stepped forward to test them. Former soldiers. Street racers. Ordinary people who refused to surrender. One by one, they sat on the hybrid bikes and reached for the neural link. 7 of them screamed and fell off. The technology rejected them. Their minds were not compatible. But 5 succeeded. Jiwoo was the first. When she bonded with her bike, tears ran down her face. She felt the Velahari memories flowing into her mind. The battles. The sacrifices. The unbreakable will to protect the innocent. I understand now, she whispered. I understand why they fought. She named her bike Spectre. The 5 new riders trained with Do-Yun, learning to use their powers. They were not as fast or as strong as him, but they were learning quickly. The Velahari technology adapted to them, growing stronger every day. Then Tarvin made his move. Yuna disappeared on a Thursday night. Marek and his hunters grabbed her from her university campus. They took her to the warship in orbit. Do-Yun received the message the next morning. A video showed Yuna in a cell, her face bruised, her eyes terrified. Human, Counselor Tarvin said in the video. You have caused me great trouble. But now it ends. Bring the Velahari weapon to the following coordinates. Come alone. If you do not, your sister will die slowly. And then we will burn your cities one by one. Do-Yun's hand shook with rage. Wraith 7 screamed in his mind, demanding blood and revenge. But Jiwoo grabbed his arm. Wait, this is a trap. He wants you angry. He wants you to make mistakes. He has my sister. I know. Jiwoo's eyes were hard. And we will get her back. But not by walking into his trap. We need a plan. While they planned, Yuna was not sitting quietly. The Keth underestimated her. They thought she was just a hostage, a weak human girl to be used and discarded. They did not know that she had spent weeks studying Velahari technology. They did not know that her xenobiology training had taught her how alien bodies worked. She watched the guards. She studied their movements, their weaknesses, their biological needs. The Keth needed to drink a special nutrient solution every 6 hours. Without it, they became weak and confused. On her second night as a prisoner, Yuna slipped out of her cell. The locks were designed for Keth prisoners, not small human hands. She found the ship's nutrient storage and added a chemical compound that she made from cleaning supplies. The next morning, half the guards were too sick to stand. She could not escape the ship. But she could cause chaos. And she could find the ship's communication systems. When Do-Yun saw her next message, his heart nearly exploded with pride. I am still alive, Yuna said in the video. And I have access to the ship's broadcast system. Whatever evidence Wraith 7 carries, I can send it across the galaxy. Just tell me when. The plan came together. Earth's military leaders made their decision. They would not surrender their citizen. They would not bow to alien threats. For the first time in human history, the entire planet would stand together against an outside enemy. It was not much of an army. Human weapons could barely scratch Keth armor. Human ships could not match Keth technology. But they had numbers. They had courage. And they had something the Keth did not expect. They had adapted. Do-Yun broadcast his message to the world. He showed everyone the evidence of Keth crimes. He explained what Wraith 7 was and what it carried. He told the truth about the Velahari and the genocide that destroyed them. Some people did not believe him. Some people were too scared to care. But millions listened. Millions saw the evidence. Millions understood. Humanity was not alone in the universe. And humanity would not be the next species to be erased from history. Councillor Tarvin watched the broadcast from his warship with cold fury. "Begin orbital bombardment," he ordered. "Start with Sol. We will show these insects what happens when they defy us." His officers hesitated. "Sir," the High Command said to contain the situation quietly. "It is too late for quiet." Tarvin screamed. "The truth is spreading. We must destroy everything now." The warship's weapons began to charge. Below, on Earth, millions of people looked up at the sky. In the Resistance hideout, Da-Hyun climbed onto Wraith 7. The other riders mounted their hybrid bikes. They looked at each other with fear and determination. "This is probably suicide," Jiwoo said. Du-Hyan nodded. "Probably. The Velahari would be proud. I hope so." The squad of 6 riders rose into the night. Above them, the warship prepared to rain fire on the planet. Behind them, humanity prepared to fight back. The final battle was about to begin. Fire fell from the sky. The Keth warship began its attack on Sol as the sun went down. Plasma beams cut through buildings like knives through paper. Explosions lit up the night. People screamed and ran, trying to escape the rain of destruction. But humanity did not hide. Military jets from 12 countries rose to meet the threat. They were small and weak compared to the warship, but they attacked anyway. They died in waves, but they kept coming. Every missile they fired, every bullet they shot, they proved that humans would not surrender. On the ground, soldiers and civilians fought together. They rescued people from burning buildings. They shot at Keth landing craft with whatever weapons they had. They refused to break. And above it all, 6 riders climbed toward the stars. Do-Hyun led the way on Wraith 7. Behind him, Jiwoo and the 4 other hybrid riders followed. Their bikes could not fly into space, but Wraith 7 pulled them along in its gravity field, carrying them higher and higher. The warship saw them coming. Defense turrets turned toward them and opened fire. The first rider fell. His name was Kim Tai-woo, a former street racer who had joined the Resistance because he hated bullies. He took a plasma blast meant for Jiwoo, and his bike exploded in a flash of light. "Keep going!" Jiwoo screamed through the neural link. "Do not stop." They pushed forward. The second and third riders broke off to attack the turrets, drawing fire away from Do-Hyun. They knew they would not survive. They did it anyway. Do-Hyun reached the ship's hull. Wraith 7's plasma lances cut through the armor like nothing. He carved a hole and dove inside, Jiwoo right behind him. The ship's interior was a maze of metal and flashing lights. Keth soldiers rushed toward them, firing weapons that would kill any normal human. But the riders were not normal anymore. Jiwoo moved like liquid, her body flowing between plasma bolts. Her hybrid bike smashed through walls and crushed enemies beneath its wheels. She was laughing, wild and fierce, alive in a way she had never felt before. "The shield generator is 2 levels up," Do-Hyun called through the link. "If we destroy it, the ship will be vulnerable." "Go," Jiwoo said. "I will clear the path." She charged forward, drawing every soldier in the area toward her. Do-Hyun shot past her while she fought, heading deeper into the ship. Behind him, he heard the explosion. He felt Jiwoo's presence fade from the neural link. She had destroyed the shield generator, and she had died doing it. Do-Hyun did not stop. He could not stop. Jiwoo's last words echoed in his mind. "Make it count. Make them remember us." He found the command center. Councillor Tarvin stood inside, surrounded by guards. But the guards were weak and sick from Yuna's sabotage. They could barely hold their weapons. Tarvin looked at Do-Yun with pure hatred. You have destroyed everything. My career, my mission, my empire. Your empire was built on genocide, Do-Yun said. It deserves to fall. Tarvin pulled out a weapon, but Do-Yun was faster. Wraith 7 moved like lightning, crossing the room in a heartbeat. The plasma lance fired once, and Tarvin fell. It should have felt like victory, but Do-Yun just felt tired. He found the communication console and opened the channel. Yuna, can you hear me? Her voice came back, weak but alive. I am here. I found the broadcast system. The evidence is ready to send. Do it. Do it. Send it everywhere. Yuna pressed the button. Across the galaxy, every communication network received the same message. The truth about the Keth, the recordings of their genocides, the evidence of their crimes against dozens of species over thousands of years. The lie that had kept them in power for so long was finally exposed. But Tarvin had one last order before he died. The orbital bombardment was still active. The warship's weapons were still firing on Earth. Marek appeared at the door of the command center. He was wounded, burned, and barely standing. But he had a weapon in his hands, and his eyes were full of murder. You killed my brothers, Marek said. You destroyed my people's honor. Now I will destroy you. He attacked with the fury of a dying beast. His weapon was stronger than anything Do-Yun had faced before. It cracked Wraith 7's shields and sent Do-Yun flying across the room. They fought through the ship, leaving destruction in their wake. Do-Yun was faster, but Marek was stronger. Every blow they traded shook the walls. Every second, the bombardment continued below. Wraith 7 showed Do-Yun one last memory. The final Velahari rider 400 years ago. He had faced impossible odds, just like Do-Yun. He knew he would not survive. But he fought anyway, not to win, but to buy time. Not for himself, but for the future. I understand, Do-Yun whispered. He stopped fighting to win. He started fighting to give Yuna time. Marek's weapon struck him again and again. Wraith 7's systems began to fail. Pain exploded through the neural link. But Do-Yun kept moving, kept drawing Marek's attention, kept him distracted. Yuna finished the sabotage she had been working on for days. The warship's weapon systems went offline. The bombardment stopped. But she did something else too. She used Wraith 7's last connection to the ship systems to trigger a cascade failure. The warship began to fall. Marek looked around in horror as the alarm screamed. What have you done? Do-Yun smiled through the blood on his face. We won. He grabbed Yuna from her cell and rode Wraith 7 out of the dying ship. The motorcycle was barely functioning, its lights flickering, its systems failing. But it had enough power for one last flight. They burst out of the hull just as the warship exploded. The blast threw them down toward Earth, falling like a burning star. Wraith 7 used its last energy to slow their fall. The impact was hard, but they survived. Do-Yun lay on the ground, staring up at the sky. The warship crashed into the ocean far away, lighting up the horizon. Debris rained down like fireworks. Yuna crawled to him, crying. Do-Yun, are you okay? He could not answer. Wraith 7 was dying beneath him. The motorcycle's lights were fading. Its warmth was disappearing. In his mind, he felt the machine's final message. Not words, but emotion. Pride. Gratitude. A Velahari word that meant worthy successor. Then the light went out. Do-Yun cried like a child, holding the frame of the motorcycle that had given him everything. It was just metal now, cold and empty, but its legacy lived on. 6 months later, the world had changed. The Galactic Trade Collective had sanctioned the Keth homeworld. Their empire was crumbling. Other species, inspired by humanity's stand, had started their own resistance movements. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was waking up. On Earth, Do-hyun rebuilt his repair shop. But it was not a normal shop anymore. It was the center of human xenotech development. Engineers and scientists from around the world came to study what he had learned. Yuna became the leading expert on Velahari technology. She wrote books and gave lectures. She made sure the galaxy would never forget the species that had sacrificed everything to protect others. The hybrid bikes were improved. More riders were trained. Humanity was building its own fleet of wraith vehicles, adapted from Velahari designs, but made with human hands. Do-hyun kept the original frame of Wraith 7 in his shop. He could not bring himself to throw it away. Some nights, he sat beside it and talked to it, even though it could not answer. One afternoon, a young girl came to his shop. She was maybe 8 years old, with curious eyes and dirty hands. She had come with her mother to pick up a repaired vehicle. While her mother paid, the girl wandered over to Wraith 7's frame. She reached out and touched it gently. A pulse of light ran through the metal, faint, barely visible. But it was there. The girl gasped and pulled back. "Did you see that?" Do-hyun stared at the frame with wide eyes. His heart was pounding. Wraith 7 was not gone. It was sleeping again, waiting. The legacy of the Velahari would continue, and humanity was ready to carry it forward. Outside the shop, the sun was setting over Seoul. The city was rebuilding. Children played in the streets. Life went on. But in the sky, new stars were appearing. Ships from across the galaxy, coming to trade, to talk, to learn from the strange small planet that had stood against an empire and refused to fall. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. And somewhere, in a shop in Seoul, an alien motorcycle waited for its next rider. The story was not over. It was just beginning.